Grab the power for exploit.
22nd and 23rd will be at the Polytechnic.
Showers of blessing with Apostle Johnson Suliman. 22nd and 23rd January 2020. 4 p.m. daily at the Aochi Holy Sport Complex at Dome State, Nigeria. It's a time of refreshing.
Reveal Jesus, releasing destinies. This is Celebration TV.
Being amounted to 15.7 trillion naira at the end of December 2018.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing him of committing a gross offence.
The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor, Ibikunle Amotekun.
Welcome to Celebration Television News Desk. I am Comfort James, and thank you so very much for joining us. Quickly, a look at the news making the rounds for today. From the local scene, Apostle Suliman storms Aochi Polytechnic Aochi. From the foreign scene, President Trump's impeachment trial begins. On business, NIPS set to host third African Petroleum Technology and Business Conference. And on sports, Arsenal showed we have character in Chelsea draw, says Xhaka. Stay with us, I will bring you the details of the news just right after this time out. Welcome back. And now the news in details. Apostle Suliman storms Aochi Polytechnic Aochi. The management, staff, and students of Aochi Polytechnic Aochi have made all preparations to host the Restoration Apostle Johnson Suliman in 2 days of apostolic visitation to the institution. The conference, which is the institution's wing of the Greater Works 2020 Crusades, is expected to happen between Wednesday 22nd and Thursday 23rd of January 2020. When Celebration TV News Desk crew visited the sports complex where the crusade will be held, the place was wearing a new look and officials were seen putting finishing touches to everything needed. A local organizing committee consisted of the Omega Phi Campus Fellowship, the Joint Christian Campus Fellowship, and the Students' Union Government has been on ground to ensuring that all hands are on deck for its success. The news crew gathered that the crusade is an offshoot of the man of God's resolve to take in the gospel to the ends of the earth in 2020, including local communities and institutions of learning. Greater Works correspondent for Celebration TV, Nicholas Akosile, gathered that the live broadcast of the first session will begin by 3 p.m. GMT +1 on Celebration TV network and all its social media platforms. The clergy, regarded as the most traveled evangelist of the 21st century, has mapped out an itinerary to visiting over 30 nations in 6 continents of the world in his 2020 evangelistic program tagged Greater Works 2020. Still from the local scene, Operation Amotekun, Presidency Governors Meeting called off, Southwest holds rallies. A scheduled meeting between the Presidency and the Southwest Governors on the Western Nigerian Security Network, Operation Amotekun, was called off on Tuesday. It is now rescheduled for Thursday. While the Southwest Governors could not meet the Presidency on Tuesday, various groups in the zone held rallies in the state capitals in support of Amotekun. In Lagos, the police barricaded the venue of a pro-Amotekun rally. The Southwest had launched the operation on January 9th in Ibadan to help address rising security challenges, particularly kidnapping and banditry in Ogun, Osun, Oyo, Lagos, Ekiti, and Ondo states. The Southwest governors who made 120 parole vehicles available to security outfits had said it would complement the police and the military in terms of intelligence gathering. But on Tuesday last week, the Attorney General of the Federation, Abubakar Malami San, said Operation Amotekun was illegal. He stated the setting up of the paramilitary organization called Amotekun is illegal and runs contrary to the provisions of the Nigerian law. A few days later, the chairman of the Southwest Governors Forum, Rotimi Akeredolu-San, said the Southwest would go ahead with the security outfit. Akeredolu, who is also the Ondo State Governor, said the Southwest would first seek a political solution to the problem, then go to court if the first step failed. But illegal luminary and founder of the Afe Babalola University, Ado-Ekiti, Chief Afe Babalola, on Sunday advised the Southwest governors to proceed with the implementation of Amotekun and leave the federal government to challenge the matter in court. However, it was further guided that the meeting might have been scheduled to coincide with Buhari's return on Thursday so that the governors would meet with him directly. A senior special assistant to the president on media and publicity, Mr. Laolu Akande, said he had no information about any meeting on Amotekun earlier fixed for Tuesday. Still from the local scene, court stops El-Rufai from demolition Abacha's hotel. A Kaduna State High Court on Tuesday restrained Governor Nasir El-Rufai and agencies of the state from further demolition and taking over Doba Hotel PLC, located along the Muhammadu Buhari Way in Kaduna, the state capital. The hotel is said to belong to the family of the late head of state, General Sani Abacha. The hotel has been under litigation between the federal government and the family of the late head of state since 2001. The Abacha family was said to have won the case both at the lower and the appellate courts. It is now before the Supreme Court. However, officials of the state led by the Kaduna State Urban and Property Development Agency on Wednesday night demolished the hotel. Meanwhile, the restraining order was based on an ex parte motion brought before the court by the hotel's management through the lawyer to the Abacha family, Mr. Ruben Atabo, praying the court for an order of interim injunction restraining El-Rufai and agencies of the state government from demolition, taking over or tampering with the property. The hotel management in the application also sought an interim injunction restraining El-Rufai and agencies of the state government from further trespassing on the property pending the determination of the motion on notice. Consequently, Justice Hanatu Balogo of the State High Court, upon hearing the ex parte motion, granted the order. And finally, from the local scene, INEC says Akpabio remains APC candidate for Rerun. The Independent National Electoral Commission has said a former governor of Akwa Ibom State, Godswill Akpabio, is the candidate of the All Progressives Congress in the senatorial rerun scheduled for January 25th. The clarification came amidst moves by the APC to substitute Akpabio with another member of the party, ENQUIRY Echo, in the election for the Akwa Ibom Northwest Senatorial District. Akpabio had been assigned Minister of Niger Delta Affairs by President Muhammadu Buhari. INEC National Commissioner and Chairman of its Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, said the Commission has consequently maintained that only duly nominated candidates that contested the nullified election are eligible to contest the court-ordered rerun election. There is no room for withdrawal or substitution at this point. The votes of the parties in places not affected by the rerun are warehoused and on hold for integration with the votes that will be harvested during the rerun. Only candidates and political parties that contested the nullified election will be on the ballot. New political parties and candidates cannot be admitted into the contest. However, if any of the candidates passes on before the election, the Commission will postpone the election and allow the party whose candidate died the opportunity to replace the candidate. Now, news coming up next is from the foreign scene. Do well to stay with us.
This is the day, a day of amazing dimension.
When you are not
anointing bankrupt. You are prosperity deficient.
Divine restoration beyond human imagination. Grab the power for exploit.
22nd and 23rd will be at the Polytechnic.
Showers of blessing with Apostle Johnson Suliman. 22nd and 23rd January 2020. 4 p.m. daily at the Aochi Police Sport Complex at Edo State, Nigeria. It's a time of refreshing.
Welcome back, and it's foreign news now. President Trump's impeachment trial begins. Donald Trump's impeachment trial has begun in the Senate. The Republican president, who is 4,000 miles away from Washington and Davos, Switzerland, is charged with abuse of power and obstruction of Congress after investigations by the lower House of Representatives, which the Democrats control. The case is now moved to the upper house, the Republican-dominated Senate, which will have the final say and decide whether he is guilty. But the vote is suspected to be mostly along party lines, and it is therefore unlikely he will be removed from office. Mr. Trump is accused of trying to pressure Ukraine into investigating his political rival, Democrat Joe Biden, by threatening to withhold military aid. The U.S. president has dismissed the charges as a witch hunt. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, a Republican, had proposed that each side have 24 hours to present their argument spread over 2 12-hour days. Democrats opposed the proposal, saying that the rules would mean some arguments will be pushed into the early hours when fewer people are watching and make it harder to introduce evidence. A few minutes in, Republicans appear to relent. Lawyers for both sides will be able to spread their arguments over 3 8-hour days. The proposals also put off any vote on whether witnesses can give evidence until later in the process, rather than at the start as Democrats had demanded. Democrats claim Mr. Trump abused his power by pressuring Ukraine to help him politically and obstructed Congress when he tried to find out what happened. After the 4 days of opening arguments, senators will be allowed up to 16 hours for questions to the prosecution and defense, followed by 4 hours of debate. Only 2 other U.S. presidents in history have been impeached: Andrew Johnson in 1868 and Bill Clinton in 1998. Both Mr. Johnson and Mr. Clinton was acquitted in the Senate, while in 1974, Richard Nixon faced impeachment but resigned before a full vote in the House of Representatives. And still from the foreign scene, Australia fires. Malcolm Turnbull accuses Scott Morrison of misleading nation. Australian Prime Minister Scott Morrison has been accused of lacking leadership during the bushfire crisis by the man he replaced after a party room coup. Malcolm Turnbull, who was deposed in 2018, said Mr. Morrison had misled the country by downplaying the influence of global warming. Mr. Morrison apologized last month for taking a U.S. holiday amid the fires. He has insisted his policies are adequate, but Mr. Turnbull said he cannot explain his successor's approach. In a wide-ranging interview, Mr. Turnbull also said U.S. President Donald Trump was the world's leading climate denier and that America's lack of leadership was extremely damaging. Since September, bushfires have scarred Australia. At least 30 people have died. Livelihoods have been lost along with thousands of homes, while the catastrophic impact of wildfire may never be known. Mr. Morrison has conceded he caused great anxiety in Australia by taking his family to the U.S. as record-breaking heat exacerbated fires. I know there are some who have tried to make political points and score points in the midst of these disasters, and that's disappointing, he said before Christmas. He asserted that climate change was one of the many factors responsible for the blazes. As the fires have raged, so has the debate about climate change and its part in Australia's destructive summer. Mr. Turnbull took aim at former colleagues in the governing Liberal Party, accusing another ex-Prime Minister, Tony Abbott, of being probably the most prominent climate denier in Australian politics, but there are plenty of others who were engaged in a war against science. It is an extraordinarily irrational and self-destructive approach, Mr. Tambo said. And next up is news from the world of business as we take a look at the forthcoming African Petroleum Technology and Business Conference. Stay with us. We'll be back with the details.
Get ready for the super dynamic move of God as the Restoration Apostle storms Warri, Delta State, Nigeria with a mandate to enforce God's counsel concerning your life.
When God's presence rests on you, curses are reversed.
A meeting that will translate your expectation to manifestation with a theme from backseat to front seat. Host Apostle Michael Abo, 24th January 2020, 10 a.m. GMT +1, live at the Palace of God's Bible Church, opposite Lingo Filling Station, off Uti Street, Efuru, Warri, Delta State, Nigeria. For inquiry, call +234 903 169 7532. The experience shall be phenomenal.
Welcome back. On business, NIPS set to host third African Petroleum Technology and Business Conference. The Honorable Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Chief Temipri Silva, on Monday, January 20, 2020, announced the forthcoming Nigeria International Petroleum Summit to the public. The event, which is an official oil and gas meeting of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, is scheduled to hold in the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, on the 9th through 12th of February 2020. According to Temipri, NIPS has over the years evolved into a must-attend industry meeting for all stakeholders. He went further to buttress on the majors of this year's edition, stating that it will be focusing on widening the integration circle, emerging technologies and cross-pollinating ideas with the aim of building on the successes of previous editions. The Nigeria International Petroleum Summit is a project of the federal government of Nigeria and has its structure and organization rooted with the approval of the Federal Executive Council and has the highest level of government backing and endorsement. Organized in the true spirit of a public-private partnership, NIPS creates the platform for Nigeria to help galvanize Africa's response to global oil and gas challenges. The first and second editions of the NIPS held in 2008, 18 rather, and 2019 respectively, attracting a high level of attendance from across the continent and beyond. This year's edition, which happens to be the third so far, guarantees the attendance of top decision makers and industry leaders from within and outside the country. It is to be declared open on the said date by His Excellency Muhammad Buhari, President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. More news on business. Investors lose 128 billion naira, dump banks' shares. Investors in the nation's equity market lost a total of 128 billion naira as the equities market reversed gains recorded in previous sessions. Investors embarked on selling spree with banking shares experiencing the most sell-offs. Analysts at Afrinvest Securities Limited said the successive gains recorded in the equities market were ended by sell-offs in Guaranty Trust Bank PLC, Dangote Cement PLC, and Access Bank PLC. The market capitalization of equities dropped from 15.30 trillion naira on Monday to 15.18 trillion naira on Tuesday, while the all-share index depreciated by 0.83% to close at 29,462.76 basis points. Consequently, the year-to-date return rather fell to 9.8%. Zenith Bank, Access Bank, and United Bank for Africa PLC led the most traded stocks by volume, while Zenith Bank, Dangote Cement, and MTN Nigeria Communications PLC led by value. Despite sell-offs, performance across sectors remained bullish as 4 sectors recorded gains. The insurance and consumer goods indices led gainers, riding on the back of price appreciation in AXA Mansard Insurance PLC, Law Union and Rock Insurance PLC, Nigerian Breweries PLC, and Honeywell Flour Mills PLC. Buying interest in Owando PLC and MTN Nigeria boosted their oil and gas and AFRICT indices by 0.83% and 0.01% respectively. On sports news is next. Stay with us.
A new era of the decade holds in Imo State, Nigeria.
Where shall be heaven on earth?
Shout glory!
There's going to be a deluge of God's glory, God's power, God's anointing, healing the sick, massive miracles. Do you live in any state around down the eastern axis?
When glory left, oh, the absence of glory is the presence of death. It's Greater Works 2020, Apostle Johnson Suliman.
God spoke to Samuel and said, I'll do a work in your day that the ears of them that hear shall tingle.
Mighty miracle here.
Be my guest as we come to Owerri Crusade.
Date 12th and 13th February 2020 by 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. Happening live at Heroes Core, Owerri, Imo State.
Greater Works, Owerri. I'll see you there.
And welcome back. From the world of sports, it's a tricky group, says Roar. Janet Roar has stated in clear terms that the Super Eagles must be at their optimum best to advance to the third round of the 2022 World Cup qualifiers for Africa. The Eagles have been drawn against Cape Verde, Central African Republic, and Liberia in Group C for the second round of the qualifiers, and Roar admits it's a tricky group for his side. We have 3 tricky opponents in Group C, Roar was quoted on the Eagles' Twitter handle. A few years ago, Cape Verde were Africa's best FIFA-ranked team. Central African Republic have some good players in Europe, and they played a friendly in Liberia recently. That wasn't easy. They have to be at their best against them. The Eagles are expected to start their qualifying campaign in October, aiming to go all the way and qualify for the finals for the 7th time. Still from the world of sports, Nadal through to Australian Open second round. World number 1 Rafael Nadal cruised into the Australian Open second round with a straightforward victory over Bolivia's Hugo de Leon. Nadal, champion in Melbourne in 2009, dropped just 5 games in a 6-2, 6-3, 6-0 win over his 72nd ranked opponent. The Spaniard, runner-up to Novak Djokovic last year, is beaten to equal Roger Federer's record of 20 Grand Slam men's single titles. For me personally, it has been a very positive start, the 33-year-old said. What you want is to win in the first round, and if you can do it in straight sets, even better. Nadal, who will play Federico Del Bonis of Argentina next, has reached the Australian Open final 5 times, but won it only once, beating Federer in a 5-set epic 11 years ago. Now finally, from the world of sports and on news desk, Arsenal showed we have character in Chelsea draw, says Xhaka. Granit Xhaka believes Arsenal have silenced those that claim the club lacks character after they claimed an impressive 2-2 draw with Chelsea on Tuesday. The Gunners were reduced to 10 men in the 26th minute after David Luiz was shown a red card for a foul on Tammy Abraham, which also resulted in Jorginho putting the Blues ahead from the sport. Despite that numerical disadvantage, Mikel Arteta's side showed plenty of spirit with Gabriel Martinelli equalizing in the 63rd minute. Cesar Azpilicueta put Chelsea ahead once again in the 84th minute, only for Hector Bellerin to pull Arsenal level minutes later as the Gunners claimed a memorable point. The draw sees Arteta's side jump up to 10th in the Premier League, with Xhaka declaring the side sent a clear message with the manner of their performance. After this game, nobody will have to speak about us. We showed big character. A lot of people say we have no character in the team, so after this game, we showed we have. Xhaka, who looks set to stay put at Emirates after being linked with a move away, filled in for Luiz at centre-back after the Brazilian's dismissal. While happy to help the team out, the Swiss international admits the position is not somewhere he hopes to find himself regularly. And that's the size of the news for today from Celebration Television News Desk. But just in case you missed out, here is a recap of the headlines. From the local scene, Apostle Suliman storms Auchi Polytechnic Auchi. From the foreign scene, President Trump's impeachment trial begins. On business, NIPS set to host third African Petroleum Technology in Business Conference. And on sports, Arsenal showed we have character in Chelsea draw, says Xhaka. And don't forget to stay updated with us by staying glued to our social media handles. On Facebook, it is Celebration TV. On Instagram, My Celebration TV. On Twitter, My Celebration TV. And on YouTube, Celebration TV. I am Comfort James, and this is a wrap-up from CTV News Desk.
To 15.7 trillion naira at the end of December 2018.
Senior Democrats have responded by accusing him of committing a gross offence.
The All Progressives Congress has vowed to punish the Ogun State Governor, Amotekun.
This is the day, a day of amazing dimension.
When you are anointing bankrupt, you are prosperity deficient.
Divine restoration beyond human imagination. Grab the power for exploit.
22nd and 23rd will be at the Polytechnic.
Showers of blessing with Apostle Johnson Suliman. 22nd and 23rd January 2020. 4 p.m. daily at the Auchi Police Sport Complex at Those State, Nigeria.